So, all right. Let's talk about some of our biggest Tetris community crowdfunding successes. The main two that I can think of are WPL Championship and Square One. So, the quick thing to talk about with WPL is WPL events raise a lot of money. Like they're big. They're big events. People pay people paying a lot to those prize pools, a lot of merch is bought. The reason why is just working Americans like WPL, and that's just basically it. WPL has caught the biggest appeal of like the older audience in the community, and has powered this older audience to be very ready to contribute to the events. Also, when you take into the factor that it's a land and travel expenses are a factor, and people would be more willing to put up a front for a prize pool even after already traveling, just because people who on average have more money are accessing these events. That's so the reason why WPL prize pools are so big, I think it's more of a numbers reason than like a marketing reason. There's also just this different hype around you're physically seeing these players who are competing, and you might have a virtue in the back of your head like, man, I want to donate to make this bigger. That might be in the back of your head. And also, reason why WPL prize pools are bigger is entry fees. Um, Entry fees pay for a lot. Shen was dropping hundreds into each prize pool, not only just from his own contribution, but just from entry fees from the tournament. If I'm correct, last year, just off of entry fees alone into prize pools, WPLC last year made about $1,500. Had like 150 people there. So that split among the brackets is already a healthy starting bonus for a prize pool. It was like 300, 400 each per bracket. So that's just a pretty healthy bonus. And you'll see that with lands as well. Like as more lands come out, the prize pools are usually bigger based on like entry fees. If it's like WPL and it's attracting a lot of people, MTS1 had a healthy size. It had some Oilers for that. MTS2 was still relatively good. Smaller, more modest tournament for sure, but it still had pretty decent prize pools if you compare it to online tournaments of the time. Now, if we just want to talk strictly online, there's one like historically good crowdfunder, and then there's one like recent hitter that did very well. Those being Square One and the 14th Tetrio Cup. Both of those, for the scale of the event, raised a lot of money. I feel like Square One's kind of an obvious one. Square One was so big, the tournament itself was marketed so well. And one thing that Square One had going for it, which is also a commonality that was shared with Ultimate Charge, the Square One 2023 qualification event, as well as just a really good standalone tournament idea. Ultimate Cup Charge was the only Square One community qualifier that wasn't designed initially as a qualifier event. It was planned and nearly announced before we even tacked that on, which is part of a reason why the prize pool was so large. There were already about $120 worth of donations like committed to Ultimate Cup Charge before it was even announced, or before it got the broader tack on of the like, this is a Square One thing, or it's associated with Square One badge on it. It already had a pretty healthy prize pool before that even happened. I don't think a lot of people know that. Or I guess I could rephrase that and say people would have donated no matter what. I guess. That's what I meant by more of like it was guaranteed. Because like there were some full throttle followers on there. Like I'm pretty sure Ferox and Taco would have contributed regardless. Like if we just want to talk about that. That's what I meant with that. And then the thing that Square One and this tournament had in common, and Charge had in common, is that people very big on staff were on the mic often. Like Misty, you were commentating at the start of the event, and for example, Renj and I were on a lot of the time during Square One. A lot of people will drop donations in part with a motivation of getting a reaction out of the TO. or getting acknowledgement from the TO directly. And having the personable, like, having the personable quality of having the organizer be directly on stream is a big part of, I think, why Ultimate Cup Charge raised a very, very good amount of money. I think it's also why Square One got some big donations during the 2022 group drawing stream. That stream itself got like $700 into the prize pool out of the 3,000 that ended up with, and that was before any gameplay was happening. So, and events and content like that, and just having the TO personally involved, I think it adds a bit of a novelty factor to a donator. I don't think it like directly incentivizes more donations. It makes people who are thinking about donating more likely to donate. And perhaps that acknowledgement from Azura helped out a lot in the Tetrio Cup fundraising. I guess another anomaly was that one UC that had like $1,100 in the prize pool, if anyone remembers that. Okay, yeah, it was UC 14, had a total prize pool of $1,191, 1,000 of those dollars coming from a singular person. I think UC 14 benefited a lot from the same principle that let's say the recent IO Cup and Ultimate Cup Charge went through. I think it was someone who was and UC had the attachment of like it's a tournament that's often ran. Often, I'm saying, with the absence of when Kabuzo was in Japan, it was often attached to a personalized brand, which in theory made prize pool donations more likely. I will also note that when I ran stuff under Galactic, some of the prize pools were shockingly large, despite the fact that I didn't make Galactic prize pools a fixture of the tournaments. Like, I didn't often bring up the fact that one even existed. It was just there kind of for principle. I didn't really care about promoting one for those tournaments. Which is an issue that's been brought up recently. It's like, oh, TOs need to promote their prize pools more. But Galactic's objective was never really being like a prize giver, I guess. Like, that really wasn't it. Galactic was a very weird thing when I was doing it often. It was very much just... I view Galactic as like my idea bank, really. It's like stuff that I would have done on the Puzzle Kingdom stage, but was more of a risky idea, went there. I think that's the best way to put it. And because of the fact that it was just effectively a creative think tank, I didn't really care about the prize pool. I just cared about making sure that the people who were interested had fun. And that was my biggest priority when I was doing those tournaments. Like, especially when you had the doubles events, like, I think tank the ideas, and I worked with people like Deep for the Tetrio doubles tournament for a couple hours, making sure that all of the seeding was ironed out correctly, that people's TR and versus score were averaged properly, that there was no one unranked playing. Like, that's what I spent my time on with Galactic when I was actively doing it. One thing I also don't often talk about is that Galactic, when I ran a tournament every week in July, was a test to see if I could handle working as a creative producer full time. So it was a personal thing to see if I thought I was capable enough. And that was my challenge. That was my challenge of being capable enough. Host a big online tournament every single week for a month and see if you can handle it. And that was the point of why I did so much in that month. But back to what I was talking about, I think one thing that we often execute correctly a lot is, since we're all grassroots, we do have this personal element a lot more. It does make people more compelled to donate. One thing that UC and Azura for Tetrio Cup were doing really well was giving recognition to each individual donor. Now, I've done this for PK events and stuff where I shout them out on stream or whatever, but for latest Tetrio Cup, each individual donation got a server ping, and UC does this too, where literally thousands of users were becoming aware of your donation, and thousands of users were also like being directly called on to also help contribute as well several times. And of course, if people find that annoying, they'll just probably have server notifications off in general anyways. But I think that definitely helped a lot in getting people motivated to donate to Tetrio Cup. One thing that Team TSD also never really did in the past was openly talk about the amount of their prize pools after they stopped using Matcherino, like really early. But that was like that was a like Fashion Tetris thing. I think Team TSD wasn't even thinking. I think when Team TSD was like that actual crew, they'd already been using PayPal pools back when those were still a thing. But yeah, server pinks have been great. It probably inspired some big donations like that. I think the thing about Square One is we brought a lot of attention to it on stream, and the event had prestige, so people wanted to take part. This brings up, pardon me. This brings up my next topic. Merchandise. Merchandise is fucking great, dude. Merchandise is great at this. All those Smash Summit prize pools that get really big, the reason why they're that big is because like half of each piece of merchandise's profit went directly into the prize pool. And merch can get marked up is also something that is worth talking about. A lot of the time you don't realize it, but even in like grassroots scenes, TOs are probably making or are bringing in about $30 to $40 worth of profit on each merch item, on each merch sale. So just think about that. Of course, if it's a t-shirt that's being sold for like $20 or $30, that's just not possible. But definitely, like, they're definitely making at least a 50% markup on the product. There is a good reason for this. Often, grassroots TOs I've noticed will source for better quality. They also have to pay commercial licenses and stuff to artists. So think about that when you're thinking about how expensive these things do end up getting. And also, often we use a lot of it for these like different expenses. We use it for paying for things that we need to make sure the events keep running. And we also use it to directly kick back into the prize pool. One thing about Square One that I don't think many people really notice because of the large amount is Square One was 100% crowdfunded. Square One's prize pool did not have a direct contribution, maybe because the event just cost so much already. So all of that $3,000 was just from merch revenue or the community being gracious, which is a really cool thing to see. And to talk about that, how do our like prize pools as a grassroots scene differ from like bigger scenes or regular sports, which Daniel just brought up in chat? I think for traditional sports, most of it would come from either a presenting sponsor, various sponsors, commercials, entry fees. I think they also derive some from merchandise, but esports is a little bit different. A lot of our events are online. You don't really have entry fees or ticket sales to even bring into this. Another thing as well is that we don't get as many big sponsors, even from the puzzle game community or even the FGC. We don't get a lot of big sponsors. It's really just like, it's like a circle of money that's being tossed around between like the players go into the events, they make prize money, they spend it on products from, let's say, Hitbox or Junk Food Arcade, and then they take their profits, they contribute back to events to get more eyes on their product. It's just a big circle, really, for events of this size and of like the grassroots scale. Of course, there are some opportunities where publishers or companies will provide more direct pot bonuses rather than just a payment to a company or an event organizer. But the next thing is, please, I talked about this in the last talk, please build pitch decks and get your shit sponsored. Oh my god. Like, this is like, there are only a few orgs in, like, right here in our space where this is possible, but Jed, brother, please stop ignoring marketing, Jed. I don't mean marketing your tournament, I mean selling ad space. Oh my god. And admittedly, like, I'm not even doing the best at this either. Like, I could have gotten more events sponsored than just Square One, probably. I could have inked a longer term deal or something like that. We could have had that going. In the future, do expect stuff like that. I would love to find a way to get brands interested in this scene. And last year was already pretty promising with that. But sponsors are great, even from like a community side. And it also helps pay for drastic expenses for larger tournaments. But as far as the prize pool goes, sponsors are great. Though you can't really guarantee that. Don't get me fucking started on Qualo. Qualo never directly sponsored like a big community event. Because no one's fucking stupid enough to ink a deal with them. Shouts to someone from the TO server last year who said that the only sponsor that I could get was Qualo for Square One. Fucking damn it, man. Yeah, can we have some confidence this time? Oh my god. I remember I made a graphic to meme on the guy because it was like, I was just like, dude, no. Have a little bit more confidence in your boy. Yo, Qualo should sponsor everything. Yo, Cab, why don't you get your stream sponsored by Qualo? You get the Qualo logo in the background instead of UC on the bottom. They paid like $600 a month. I don't even know how much those kinds of companies pay. I haven't even looked into them. $600 a month. And Cap has to read an ad every fucking hour that he's live. Like, oh man, my APM is so high. Thanks to the Qualo Q Focus product sitting here on my desk next to my Fumo, which you can see on the camera. Qualo Q Focus keeps me focused during all of my Tetra League gaming, yo. Be sure to use code KABOOZLED for 20% off. And yeah, as for like the downturn and less sponsors and like esports teams buckling, it's just, yeah, people are being more conscious about where they're marketing. And esports is a relatively fucking experimental marketing expense. And if you need to spend your money to market reliably well, and you're like fucking Pepsi or something, you're not gonna buy esports ads, you know? But I think this is a relatively short topic. I rambled a lot, but I think I have enough material for an edit. I guess the main thing to stress, I think our number one untapped way to raise money is merch. It has a relatively expensive entry, but if you get like a couple good designs and sell them for like half a year, like you're pretty big chillin'. What kind of merch? I think the easiest things to produce, like I'm gonna sell Fumos. As there, you might be onto something. I'd buy a Square One plush. Now, I mean, listen, if we had all the money in the world to get production done, we could sell 32 Square One plushies every year. And it would also be unlicensed products and Nintendo would sue me, but, I mean... Fuck it. But, yeah. So, kinds of merch that I'm thinking of. More unique shirt designs than just putting a logo on stuff. Like this shirt right here sold pretty well, IMO. Specifically because it wasn't just that part right there. It has, you know, all this right there. The art. And that's the reason why I think it did better. The PK jersey was also a good idea. But that's more of a different kind of target than this. So if you just make like more unique t-shirt designs for that like encompass the whole org or like one specific large event, you can sell it for like 6 months, boost a ton of prize pools, even make some profit yourself, and that's not a bad line. And then another thing, you know, I just thought about this specifically thinking about my own org. You know, we spend all this money making these posters, but we never sell a poster. You know? I was just always like, huh, that's kind of weird. Why don't I sell a poster? I just think like specifically PK and some other orgs are now stepping up too. Like Hummingbird Nest has been commissioning posters. Tetrio Cup's been getting more unique posters. But it's like, we're putting so much effort into these designs and they're looking so good. I know people, especially myself, would put them on my wall.